Namaste and good morning to all of you. Let's start our Thursday class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha, Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गम्य तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्य मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गम्य ओम सहनाववतु सहना भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति शांति शांति. Ken Upanishad, that's what we are studying in this class. So, this beautiful Upanishad started out with students' question that by whom willed and directed does the mind light upon its objects? Commanded by whom does the main vital air, the pran, proceed to function? By whose will do men utter speech? What intelligence directs the eyes and the ears towards their respective objects? And in this first chapter, the Guru, the Rishi, he's answering this question. And sometimes we wonder, why couldn't he just answer in a simple language, direct language? It's not that Guru doesn't know how to answer it, but Guru's objective is not just to impart the knowledge alone. Guru's objective is that students should experience it too. Okay? That's why next chapter we'll see the student says, I already know. I knew it already, this. Guru says, you're a fool if you think you know it. And the same thing goes for us also. If we just stop ourselves only at the knowledge, theoretical knowledge, we are fooling ourselves. That's why at the testing time, we fail. We know that telling a lie is bad, but still we end up telling lies. We know that we should not hurt anybody, but still we keep on hurting. Because we are fools, according to this great Guru. So we ended our class, last week's class, on verse number 5, chapter number 1, where he says, what one cannot feel with the mind, but because of which they say the mind feels. Know that alone as Brahma, and not this which people do worship here. Because most of the worships, what do? We are worshipping only that inert matter. That's why we often keep looking at, is it made out of a gold or a silver or a copper or marble or just a clay? Our mind just stays there. So this is what he means. Know that alone as Brahman, and not this which people do worship here. We do not dig deep into the essence of anything. And this great Guru is taking our attention towards that essence. Essence. So let's see verse number 6. He says, Yat chakshusha na pashyati yen chakshusi pashyati tat eva brahma tvam vidhi na idam yat upasate. Yat means that which, chakshusha, through eyes. Na means not, pashyati, sees, yen, by which, chakshusi, the eyes. Pashyati, one sees. Tat eva, that alone. Brahm, tvam means you. Vidhi, no. Na idam, not this. Yat means this. Upasate, worships. What cannot be seen by the eye, but by which the eyes are able to see. How that alone as Brahm and not this which people do worship here. So he's not putting down the worship itself. He says by worshipping, you go towards the essence, connect with the essence. And when you find out the essence is the same everywhere. It's homogeneous. There's no difference. There's no difference between Ram and Krishna, Shiv, my guru, your guru, between me and you, between animals, us, this planet, that planet, all the same. So the idea expressed in the previous verse is again repeated here. Now taking the example of the eye perceiving its forms and colors in the outer world of objects. The eyes do not see. Eyes are only the instrument of seeing. Remember that. The seer in the eye must be something different from eye itself. This is the conscious principle which is working behind the eye, which is called the eternal subject. That is the fundamental truth he wants us to realize. Then he says, Yat shrotrena na shrinoti, yen shrotram idam shrutam, tat eva brahma tvam vidhi, na idam yat idam upasate. Now he's giving the example of the ears. Yat means that which, shrotren, through the ears. Na means not, shrinoti, hears, or someone hears. Yen, because of which, shrotram, ear, idam, this, shrutam, is being heard. Tat ev, that alone. Brahm, tvam, you, vidhi, no. Na idam, not this. Yat means that. Idam, this, upasate, worships. What cannot be heard by the ear, but by which the ears are able to hear? Know that as Brahm. And not this which people here do worship. So the same old idea that behind the finite organs of the body, mind and intellect, there is the conscious principle which we call Atma. That's what he wants us to experience. Not just an intellectual apprehension, but experience of it. Brahm directs the ear towards his object. A dead person's, dead bodies, ears cannot register any of the finite sounds. Even though ears are there, instrument is there, but the power behind the instrument has been disconnected. Yat pranena na praniti, yen prana praniyate, tat eva brahm tvam vidhi na idam yat idam upasate. Yat means that which, pranen, by the pran, na, never, praniti, breathes, yen, because of which, Prana, praniyate is breathed. Tat eva, that alone, Brahma, the state of Brahma. Tvam means you, vidhi no. Na idam, not this. Yat means that. Idam this, that means here. Upasate, worships. So this is the end of this first chapter. That which one breathes, not with his breath, but by which breath is breathed. Know that to be Brahma. And not this which people do worship here. So it's a series of the examples this Guru is taking from the body organization which we are familiar with. We know our ears, we know our eyes, we know our nose, we know pran, we know mind, intellect. So how these matter envelopments in themselves are impotent. They are inert, they are lifeless. We see the life through them because of their contact with the spark of life in the person, which commonly known as Atma. Atma. It's almost like a piece of iron does not have any potency in its own for the heat. Piece of iron. But when that piece of iron comes in contact with the fire, it can start glowing. Its heat is derived during its contact with the fire. So the same way, life is not the quality or the property of the sense organs or the mind and the intellect. It is only when the life source in us is connected with the sense organs or the mind and the intellect that they seem to be alive. Or another example, we are familiar with the wire. The wire itself cannot give us a shock if there's no electricity flowing through it. So wire doesn't have the potency to give us electric shock. Only the electricity is when it's connected with it, when the current is flowing through it. So far, we have dealt with, in this first chapter, only the conditioned Atma. This is called a conditioned Atma. Not the pure truth, the absolute self. Because the supreme reality is known as the absolute because of its infinite nature. Finite words cannot explain it. Infinite cannot be explained with finite. Remember that. It doesn't have that power. So the only way to explain it is to explain the conditioned Atma. That's all words can explain. That all the words can utter. It's almost like a conditioned sun would be its reflection. Sun is up there, conditioned sun is in the reflection. And that reflection could be in a pond or in a tub of water. So in any kind of a water surface or any kind of a reflective surface can give us an idea of the conditioned sun. So from the conditioned sun, we can have some concept of the sun, but not the glorious nature of the light or even the heat. But if we look at the reflection of the sun and we think that we know all about sun, we are fools. So the same way, Atma being beyond the words, the only way we can give an idea of the self through words is through the conditioned Atma. So all that we have so far gained is only a knowledge of the relative reality, the conditioned Atma. And there's no other way to express in words the infinite. It can only be indicated of its expressions through the matter vehicles. The seeker has to realize this great truth for himself, by himself, in himself. Lord Krishna said the same thing, exact word by word. So the intellectual apprehension of the presence of life is not in itself the spiritual unfoldment. So intellectually we know there's an Atma in us. That is not the end of the story. This we have heard all our life, ever since we were little. There's an Atma in everybody. That is not enough. That's not enough. Each student, if you're serious about it, we got to apprehend this truth ourselves in a very intimate, subjective experience, not as an objective experience. So to emphasize this idea, we have the second chapter. That's why I said in this chapter, second chapter, the student says, I know it. Because of course he knew this. Theoretically he knew it, just like we know it too. So that's why if we think that we know it, why keep on studying these things? Then we are fooling ourselves. The idea over here is to stay on the path and have this subjective experience. It's the Guru who is telling us, it's the Guru's truth. Have faith in the Guru's words and then do what Guru says and have your own experience also. So chapter 2, Yadi manyase suved iti dabram evapi nunam tvam vetat brahmana rupam yat asye deveshu atnuhu mimansasyam evam te manye viditvam. Yadi means if. Manyase, you think. Suved, very well I know. Iti means thus. Dabram ev api, even a little also. Api means also. Even a little. Nunam, certainly. Tvam, you, vetat, understand. Brahmanaha, of the Brahma. Rupam, form. Yat means that which is. Asya, of that. Deveshu, in the Devas. At means now. Nu means then. Mimansya, ev, is to be ascertained. Te means to you. Manye, think. Viditam, that which is known. So the Guru over here warning his disciple. If you think, I knew well, it is certainly but little. The form of the Brahm you have known is also the form of the Devas. Therefore, I think that which you think is still to be ascertained. This warning is probably because the Guru could see in the face of the disciple a look of the satisfaction and self-confidence and pride at the understanding that I knew it, I know it. Whatever the way you have answered my question, I know it. So the teacher can read the face of the student and is giving a very timely warning. If you think that you know the Atma well, you don't know it. You are fooling yourself. I have said that the Atma is the eye of the eye, etc. And I said it that same is the Atma in the heavenly forms of the Devatas also. But because of these statements in the last chapter, if you have concluded that you have realized Atma, you are mistaken. These are only words. Maybe you can memorize the words, but you have not experienced it. It's almost like a poor man, a beggar, standing outside a big mansion, thinks that I know it. I know the mansion now. I know the luxury inside. I know the environment inside because I have looked at it outside. But we'll say that, no, that person is fooling himself. You have to walk inside, walk through the corridors, go into the rooms, check out everything. Only then you will know how the mansion looks like from inside. Standing outside, you can't. The same way, don't think that you have known the self by what has been said so far, or what has been heard so far. We got to learn how to roam within. We got to learn how to watch inside, how to look inside, how to observe, just like that beggar has to go inside the mansion. We have to inquire more. Inquire more into the conditions, into the nature of that voiceless palace of the truth. Realize the pure existence. What we see, hear, etc., are all conditioned truths. That's why I mentioned earlier, it's a conditioned Atma. It's only a reflection. Just like a reflection of the sun in the pond. You got to look up. Not just keep on looking into the reflection. Pure truths lie behind and beyond all names and forms. That's why he kept saying in the last chapter, the last part of each verse, not what people are worshipping, because most people are worshipping only the matter or the material. They are not digging deeper into the reality. Truth, pure existence is spread out everywhere. Sure, it's everywhere. But remember, it could be just a reflection. Conditioned Atma alone can be explained, discussed, and grasped by the intellect. That's why the teachers, the gurus, they say, don't stop there. I'm just only explaining the conditioned Atma. I am only giving you the pointers towards the Atma. Pure Atma is to be experienced individually by the disciple, all by himself. No matter how great a guru is, guru cannot experience that for us. Guru can encourage us, motivate us, show us the direction, give us the pitfalls of all that so that we are careful about it, but we got to do our own experiencing. It's almost like somebody can buy the groceries for us, cook for us, serve it to us, even feed us, but not digest it for us. That experience we have to go through. Absolute truth cannot be explained in words. Just remember that. It's almost like The knowledge is just given, just like if you're thirsty and somebody is giving you water in a cup. So these are words, are just the cups. That knowledge we have to experience. So any amount of intellectual understanding of the conditioned Atma will not take us to our goal. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We all have a spiritual thirst. It can be satisfied only when we break away from the shackles of our limitations. When we learn to soar higher and higher to our full divine stature of Godhood. And this can be accomplished by all of us through intimate and intense subjective experience. That's why we need to do the sadhana. To gain this intuitive experience, sure, there are some instruments which are necessary. One is a purified mind, the other one is a intellect. A mind which keep on tossing here and there is not ready for this. We have to make sure that mind of ours is a pure mind. And it does not keep on moving, no oscillation in it. And why does our mind oscillate? If we pay attention to it, it's because of the desires. That's why Lord Krishna said the desires are the very first enemy. Kamesh, Krodesh. Right? Desires, anger. So the tossings are caused by desires, hatred, lust, passion, and all these negative psychological makeup of ours. So if you want to have this subjective experience, we have to make sure that our vehicle is ready. Our mind is ready. And the only known method of making our mind ready is the sadhana. Some people like to do the bhakti sadhana. Bhakti sadhana could be the constant repetition of God's name. As simple as that. Nitya Nirantar Ishwar Chintan. That is a cleansing agent for the mind. Only in a clean mind, divinity comes to manifest. Clean mind. But in order to have that kind of a sadhana, where mind can really connect with the God all the time, we got to live a very positive life. And what are some of the ingredients of living a positive life? Serve all, love all, be kind, be pure, be patient, be tolerant, be sincere. We are all familiar with these qualities. If we have these kind of qualities, then it's very easy to surrender to Him. That's how the selfishness we can eliminate from our personality. And we can rise to our divine nature. So Guru says, if you think that what I have explained till now gives you what you asked for, you are mistaken. You are mistaken. So this warning is for us also. If we think that we know it well, we don't know it. Because none of us, not even the masters, can say that Atma is understood or known. This is not something which we understand and we know. Atma is not knowable. Atma is the knowing principle. Atma is not seen, heard or understood or known as an object. When we have ended our ego, there's no question of the I. Cannot say, I have understood. I is gone. The Atma alone remains as a vital personal experience. There is no I at all. So Atma is beyond explanation at the very moment of experiencing it. In our scriptures, they give the example of a doll made out of salt. They say, tie that doll to a string and dip it into the ocean to find out the depth of the ocean. What will happen? After a few moments, you pull out the string. What will you see? Only the string, no doll. Because doll has been made out of the saltish water. It has been just eliminated, gone, absorbed into the ocean, became one with the ocean. That's what happens. There's nothing to explain. The experience is full. Nothing to talk about. Salt doll was the ocean. It was born from the ocean. Only for a little while, it had the identity of its own, looked like a doll. But as soon as it surrendered to the ocean, it became one with the ocean. So the final experience of our eternal nature is not an objective knowledge, guys, but it is an intimate, subjective experience. And it is difficult for words to express this deep experience. We can mumble about it, but it will be just a mumbling. We fail in our attempt to convey the subtler subjective experience of the taste of the sweet also. If somebody has tasted this something sweet, another person has never tasted a sweet, how can you explain? What does sweet taste like? The same thing with this subjective experience. And now we have the next verse where disciple is speaking. Because see how perceptive the Guru was. Before even student said anything, he could read this on his face. And now let's look at verse number 2. So disciple is talking. Na aham manye suved idi, na ved iti ved cha, ya na tat ved na ved iti ved cha. Na means not. Aham I, manye, think. Suved, I know very well. Iti means thus. Na ved, not that I do not know. Iti thus, ved cha, I know too. Ya means who, na means among us. Tat means that, ved no. Tad ved knows that. Na ved I know not. Iti means thus, ved cha. Also understand. I do not think that I know, or I know it well, but not that I do not know. I know too. Who amongst us comprehends it both as the not known and as the known? He comprehends it. What is he saying? After Guru's critical warning that the self is not known as an object other than the knower himself, and not that all such understandings are but the comprehensions of the intellect and the mind, and it's not the true experience of truth, which we normally say that it has to be experienced through the divine eyes or the intuition, which we normally call. So disciples' answer is containing in this particular verse quite revealing and expressing what's happening in his own mind. It's like a drama packed in this particular verse. This is a drama of the students of the disciples' mind. Sure, he is very obedient to his teacher. That's why right away he admits that he does not think that I know it well. But then he looks within. He realizes it's a lie. So he confesses. But not that I do not know. Because teacher said that you do not know. He says, I don't know. Then he looks within. He says, I do know. So by the time he has finished this much, like a true confession, he becomes very overwhelmed by his own personal, intimate experience. And that's why very emphatically he asserts, I know too. Just like a little child will say that. So these statements will look like the mad ravings of a person. So language of the confusing contradictions are giving us a very dramatic, like a drama which is going inside the mind of the student. Sure, he has arisen above the ordinary planes of experiences. He had a little flicker of this transcendental experience, a flicker of it. But it's not a full-blown, intense experience yet. Because there is a self-contradictory statements over here. Expressive representation of the feelings experienced. You see that. So his intuitive experience of truth with this ordinary sense experience of the world, he says, I don't think I know it well. Okay. So he admits it over there. So you can see that he has gained an intimate knowledge of the self in him, but he still thinks that it is an object though. So that self is just an object. But ultimately, self needs to be recognized as our own real nature. Uniform experience of all the masters, they say that. Self is our essential nature. So this is a strange thing for the student to understand. Because mind has never experienced something like this. He thinks that he has gotten the knowledge, but his difficulty is in that his realization is not in the knowledge of, but it is in the knowledge as. That is, he has not realized the self as we realize our thoughts, for example. We realize our thoughts, but he has realized the knowledge as such. So in other words, it is just a objective experience, not a subjective experience. So that's the reason I said knowledge of or knowledge as. Remember that. To a modern student these days, to read a mantra like that, it is like a mad raving. That he must be, this young student must be suffering from hysteria. But that's not what it is. He admits his experience is something novel, some strange, unparalleled, but he's not ready to accept it. So he did experience something. He is in the company of the great Guru. He is hearing all that with full reverence, full faith. So there is something happening, but still it's not a full-fledged experience yet, because he is not ready to accept it. His awareness of it is so intimate and full, but still doubt. Because it takes some time, it takes a lot of sadhana to comprehend this full. Because he says both as the not known and as the known, he says he comprehends it. So only way he can do is just accept it, the words of the Guru, do the sadhana, have a deeper, more intimate experience, subjective experience of it. And still after having the subjective experience, he won't be able to put it into words. But then there won't be blabbering though. There will be calmness. Because when we are blabbering, when we are still just trying to explain or trying to defend ourselves, that means it hasn't fully settled in. So that's why last time also I was telling you, Agam is the way to understand this. Agam means having a full faith in the words of the scriptures and the Guru. And then keep on practicing, keep on doing the sadhana. So that is the method adopted here by the disciple in Kathopanishad. That's why he's sitting over here. He did not say, this is it, I know it now, I am going. He sits through all the instructions after this also. Let's look at these students' words, because I want you to understand it fully. I do not think that I know it well, because in the previous verse, Guru warned him. So he says, I don't think that I know it well, but not that I do not know. See that? I know too. He says, I do know. Who amongst us comprehends it both as the not known and as the known? He comprehends it. So he gives almost like a definition of comprehension to the Guru. So that's why I said he's blabbering over here. But he did have some flicker of this experience, but not a full-fledged experience yet. So we'll see next week how this great Guru is trying to give the student further direction. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.